50. It's going to start Instagram as well. Hold on. I think I can breathe now. Oh, it's tough, holding this face. It's not a very friendly face, is it? Me doing this. Breathe, breathe. But hey, at least I can smile with relative confidence now. For the last couple of months, I've been toothless. I know I bang on about this, but I opted for the cheap solution. I went to my local Superdrug pharmacy, spent, I think it was $7.99 or $8.99, and I that tooth cement you can buy. It looks like anyway, it's like almost like chewing gum, but it's you wedge it. This it's actually whiter than my own teeth, but it's anyway. I caught it from falling in the sink, and I've reapplied it, so I'm now able to at least smile. For a British person, my teeth aren't great by anyone's standards, but the reputation, the well deserved, has to be said. Any international viewers, any American viewers, I have a few American friends who do watch this channel, and yeah, suffice to say, the UK's reputation that Brits have, on the whole, not very good teeth. I can't defend that, and I won't defend that. That's come at me as you will, because anyone would say, "Oh yeah, typical Justin, isn't it? He's, selling out his Britishness because he's such an American fanboy." Yes, this is true. I am an American fanboy, but on the whole, my fellow country persons' teeth are not great. We are not known for it. That is a well deserved, well earned, well fought for reputation that we've got shitty teeth. Again, I've not got a Hollywood smile by any stretch of the imagination. It's like if I actually grin, it's like, yeah, okay, your teeth are all right, Justin, but they're not good. You wouldn't go, oh yeah, what a great smile, what a great Hollywood-esque squared away whiter than white smile you've got there, Mr. House. No, but it's better than the gap that I've been, sporting for the last couple of months. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. I've spent already 3 minutes talking about that. Hope you're all well. Today's date is Wednesday, the 15th of December. This is episode 450. Psychologically, I feel in a good place tonight. So, look, you guys know me well enough by now. Firstly, if you're new here, welcome. I hope you get something out of this. If you're not new here, if you're used to my rants and my verbosity, then welcome back. Yeah, I dig myself out on a fairly frequent basis. No one critiques me quite as hard as me. So that being said, I want to talk to you guys tonight. As the name suggests, TrueHouse. I'm not here to lie. Quick story, funny story, little anecdote. Even the language now, if you're not applying enough censorious pressure on yourself, this awful self censorship that so many of us are self inflicting, this is evidenced by who was it? Was it Twitch? Yes, my Twitch account, which I, by my own admission, I'm not using very much. I need to do more streams on there. But the word cucked. Now, culturally, excuse me, the origins of the word cucked, cuckold. If a man was cucked, a cuckold, the actual spelling Cuckold, cuckold, it meant you basically subjugated yourself. You took a subservient role and you permitted another man to dominate your wife, so much so that, you would literally allow your partner to be had by another chap. Let's keep this traditional. and you would literally be like, "Oh, okay, go ahead and, take my wife." It's like literally that's what the word means. It's that's where traditionally in the English language the word cuckold is describing an act where another man, superior, stronger than you in often physical strength, or certainly, just overall more domineering, would literally take your woman, and you would sit there quivering in the corner, shocked and afraid, and too meek to do anything about it. And that's what the word actually means. And of course, you can, use your imagination to expand on that theme as you see fit. Obviously, there are people out there that have a penchant for swinging. Don't need to get into this, but domineering, dominatrix. Some chaps out there. I've personally known. Again, I don't need to go into make this too explicit. But I've personally encountered chaps that air quote enjoy, get off on the process of having their partner taken, done, sorted, if whatever, again, I'm trying to keep it family friendly, by another man, while they idly sit by and pleasure themselves. Anyway, but moving on, that's what the word means. And of course, the current value of the word and the application of the word is really a more diluted version of that heinous act. Well, depends how you float your boat. Some people like it. Whereby you are acquiescing, you are obedient, you are complicit, you are again, it's a subservient subjugation. So the reason why a guy like me, who's absolutely wholehearted, look, again, I'm going to speak in metaphors. I've metaphorically, proverbially, put all my chips into the truth bit. So, and I know I repeat myself, but I repeat myself because I want this, my messaging to come through, and I want anyone who's casually visiting this channel for the first time, or even those of you that have heard me say it many dozens of times, I want you to hear it again. It's that reinforcement that I have been telling the truth, and I will continue to tell the truth. And my remit is, I'd rather offend you with the truth than, I'd sooner give you truth than a lie, because in my life experience, the greater offence is in life is to hit people with outright lies. As opposed to the truth. And yes, the truth hurts, and yes, the truth can be embarrassing. The truth can be very embarrassing for the person speaking it. The truth can be very embarrassing for the person on the receiving end of it. It's no secret that we know that, that's where the expression bloody well came from. The truth hurts. Whether someone levels you with the truth, they literally hit you with the truth, or you come to terms with your own truth, whether it's, again, this is such an expansive, swelling subject, but to try and apex this a little bit, because that's my battle, isn't it? Trying to trim the fat of every sentence. We all are living in a time where the currency of truth, the value of truth, is being undermined. I mean, it's not an exaggeration. It's not. Guys, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say the very foundations of telling the truth are being shook. They are being eroded. You don't need a guy of my age to tell you what everyone actually knows. I will tell you, because I think people are choosing to forget. I think people have intentional amnesia. I think people are suffering from confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance, and this terrible global amnesia, this obedience, whereby good people I know, very clever academic minds, people I know in my own life, have allowed themselves to be manipulated and have acquiesced to a narrative perpetrated upon Gen Pop people by the as I call the legacy mainstream smeardia. And it's an awful truth, because while I don't fall into the bracket of people that purported to say, COVID's not real. No, I've never gone in that way. I've never said, and I never will say, I'm not that stupid to say, oh yeah, I think COVID's just not real, man. Because that in and of itself, just to utter that sentence, yeah, it's not real. Well, it kind of is, because people have been succumbing to it. There's no doubt it exists. What is the lie is the extent, the post-vaccine, the efficacy of the vaccine. We know that's a lie now, in terms of how effective the vaccine is. There's two sort of roads, or two channels of thought that I want to go down tonight. Two avenues, whatever. Yeah, two avenues, not roads, not channels. I always struggle to think of the words, but two avenues of thought that I want to push through tonight is number one, this perpetual cover up and the perpetual lie performed on a daily basis by the media. And again, to be clear, the reason I bang on about this so much is because it's so prevalent, it's so in your face, it's unavoidable. Yes, you could not look at a screen, you could not. So, again, dozens of times I've gone through this on this live stream. If you're like me, you rely on smart slabs, my language for smartphones, and tablets. I don't have a TV. A lot of you, most of you, will have a TV. I don't have a computer or a TV. I have an iPad and a couple of phones, but that's me. My point is, it's still screen space. It's still screen real estate. So I get my diet of information. I get my diet from whatever you look at, Sky or BBC or whatever shows you're into, whatever news source you use. You're watching it, osmotically. You are absorbing this through the medium of a screen. Okay. If you're lucky and you've got some money, you've probably got a massive great unit on your wall, or a regular TV, whatever, something on your kitchen sideboard, or if you're like me, relying on these two phones and a tablet. Point being, we're being fed a few threads. We're being fed. I've titled tonight's one "Truth or Scare," because the currency that it's being peddled, the thing for sale these days, again by the complicit corporate media, is fear. So rather, it's just a play on words. It's typical for me to give these titles that are a bit of wiggle room on words, on language. I love words. If you can't detect that already, shame on you. It's patently obvious. I do love a word or 100. When you've got a media, we've all heard the expression, if it bleeds, it leads. We've all heard this, whereby, sensationalism and drama and things that are performative, hyperbole, these are things that drive media and drive stories, and these are the headlines and the snippets and the sound bites and the clickbait world that we live in. Very laissez-faire approach to, again, I've used this metaphor, this giant mental sieve, sieve, a colander, where someone's just shaking out the truth, and hopefully, like flour, the truth will sort of, a sediment, will remain in this huge sort of, again, just visualize for the purpose of visualization. Think, if you will, the things that I'm saying, that we as a society and as a news source, it's one huge colander or sieve, where you are literally shaking and sieving out like you would do in your kitchen with, making a whatever, a recipe. That's what we're trying to do, and I hope. Well, I'm trying to do that. The message is from me. It is fear based, and that's why I've gone with truth or scare rather than truth or dare. Dare to tell the truth? No, people don't dare to tell the truth, and that's something I'm here to do. I just need to get better at it and do it to more people. One thing I won't stop doing, I'm compelled to do it now. Literally, it's a compulsion. I have to speak the truth. I have to speak the truth, because it's again, I'm using that language, value, currency. It's what I deal in. It's what I, if anyone said, what are you doing, Just? What are you trying to do there, mate? I'm like, well, I'm trying to um, knock, knock through people's um, barriers to say, look, can you see? Can you see? How awake are you? And I think being awake is different to being woke. Again, it's the language, isn't it? It's I'm not playing semantics. It's not word salad. It's not a stretch. People know that we're seeing word manipulation, semantics every day. We've all seen the footage of evil Dr. Tony Fauci. Literally, because the literati, where people take things literally these days. Satire and comedy are dead, apparently. Where he's in Congress talking to Senate, talking to Senator Rand Paul about the whole gain of function. We've all seen the footage, gain of function, Wuhan lab, and the man is lying about the actual definition of the words. And it's so blatantly, it's flagrant, it's patent, it's all those words. Again, and I've used this till I'm blue in the face, but I'll use it again. It is akin to me trying to fight you now, saying I'm not wearing these colours, whatever you call this, red or maroon or burgundy, whatever get up I'm wearing tonight. It would be like me stubborn enough, to have someone on the screen saying, Justin, I can see you, I can hear you, you've got a red rust burgundy hat on, jumper, whatever, sweatshirt, I can see you. And then I turn around, straight faced and say, no, I'm in blue, this is yellow, this is green. Again, unless you are colorblind. And it's the most obvious example I can use, grass is green, sky is blue, water is wet, the night sky is black, etc., etc. I make very reductive, painfully obvious, quite childish arguments to drive home my point, and that's why I do, it might sound like, oh, I'm being childish, I'm being immature. Well, if I'm being immature, then what our governments are doing, our UK government and your US government, is, going back to infant school, isn't it? Because I think people are not being, given or credited with it, credit your population with enough intelligence. I truly am appalled at the gall of the media. I am disgusted at the 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 balls, frankly, the gall of the media and our UK government, our Prime Minister here, Boris Johnson, your guy Biden. Again, let me level with what we all know. We all know better. So let me give you another example, because the mountain of examples is going to keep rising. Where you can just go look at this and look at this and listen to this. The other day, I mean, literally the other day, a couple of days ago, our Prime Minister here in the UK, Boris Johnson, was getting hit by a few reporters about 10 Downing Street, which is our White House, really. So in terms of equivalency, in terms of, balancing things out, the social attachment, or the stigma, the kind of the feeling you Americans have around your White House, and the address and the prestige and the status, if you will, of the White House. For us, that's 10 Downing Street, so it's very small by comparison. But the point being, in terms of clout, in terms of, where's the head of your country? Where's it all taking? You guys would say, well, it's the White House, it's Washington DC, it's the president, it's the government. That's the crux of, that's the centralized power. Yes, that's HQ, right? That's what Americans would say. And over here in Blighty in the UK, we would describe number 10 Downing Street as that's where the epicenter of government is, and that's depending on who is in power, Labour or Conservative, and that's where our Boris Johnson resides. So that being said, we had obviously all of us globally are 2 years deep now, aren't we, into this COVID thing. And there was at 10 Downing Street, there was you've probably seen it in the press, again in the press, like a party. There was just when our government was driving home, wear a mask and where's your mask, and this almost like top-down democracy, if you like, or top-down oppression, really. Anyway, you're either bottom-up or top-down, aren't you? So, point being, we, the law setters and the idea makers and the people that say these are the rules, man, in the same way that you're Gavin Newsom in, governor of California, you guys have had, the whole thing about rules for thee and not for me. You've had that in the US where whether it's Governor Newsom or evil Nancy Pelosi or the list of people in positions of power in America that have really, really paradoxically broken the very rules that they've set for, the minions, the plebiscites, the plebeians, the serfs. It's this let them eat cake mentality, isn't it? And we're experiencing it here too. So our Boris Johnson, when pressed on this point, was there a party around Christmas last year? In other words, all the codes were broken. The facial coverings, the masks. The 6 foot rule. It's just this whole selling point from the government about maintain social distancing and wash your hands lots and don't breathe on each other and wear a mask, etc., etc. Again, we've better armed now with a bit more truth. We know COVID's not spread from that to that. Do you know what I mean? It's not. You don't need to wipe down all this stuff and like we initially did and thought it's done through here. It's done this, isn't it? So again, it's lying upon lying. So you've got a hill, a mountain of lies, and then as if you haven't got enough lies stacked up, you then double and triple down, and that's what these people in positions of power do. That they go again. And I was taught, and you were taught, we were taught at school to not do this. We were told. I hope you were. I certainly was. At the age of 5, if I'd done something bad, I mean, let's be really clear. 1977, when I was 5, if I did something stupid and imbecilic, got myself in trouble, and then another kid grasped me up, or, tattletale, told tales to teacher, our house did this, he stole the ball, whatever, right? What I learned at a young age was to just go, yeah, because the further you go into the lie and go, it wasn't me, the further you do that you dig in a hole. I mean, but we know this. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm at the age I'm at. I can't believe I'm saying it. Hello. So the reason I mention it is because to my mind, this is the most basic, fundamental sort of just a basic social position where I've got very vivid, very visceral memories of being a 4, 5-year-old. I can talk now and see and really, I mean, I really mean this. I really see and feel and almost smell, that sensation of putting on the school uniform and going to school, literally starting school. I actually started at 4. I'm a January person, so long story short, I was taken in as a 4-year-old, and anyway, I did. So, but I learned very quickly, and the reason I've got to use this as an example is because it's one of the most obvious fundamental factors in life that if you're going to lie, if you're intent on lying, just being a bullshitter, just frankly being deceptive and not telling the truth, if you're then caught, have the wherewithal, have the decency to go, yeah, yeah, all right, I did, and it's wrong, and what can I do to redeem? What can I do to get my? You know what I mean? The fact that I'm 50 in January and I feel compelled to speak about this night after night after night, because the leaders of our country, the UK, and the leaders of your country in America are lying at such a, a, a raw, open, it's a scab, it's a wound, it's so obvious, it's so, you don't need to be um, you don't need to go and gen up on politics and go, oh yeah, I'm going to go and do some research, Justin. I'll get back to you on that. No, you just need to look and listen. Do you know what I mean, Jamie? You just need to, again, it doesn't matter your chosen news source. It doesn't matter anymore if you're osmotically absorbing this on a laptop or a tablet or a phone or a telly or a bloody great home cinema. Doesn't matter your medium, how you get the content, beamed at you. What matters is, are you living? It's very Matrix-like. I could make so many parallels here with the Matrix. I know it's very red pill, blue pill, but the point is, if you can't sniff out, when all of the American media are saying, yeah, nothing to see here, our economy's booming and petrol prices are brilliant and Joe Biden's not cognitively impaired. Holy mother of God, they are there. Again, you don't need to take sides. You don't need to be a conservative, or Labour, or in America, Republic, which is our conservative, or Democrat. You don't need to pick a side. You just need to understand fundamentally, okay, this is a barefaced lie and this is reality. And I really think, and I'm one of many saying this, that if we're going to get divisive over this, and I'm going to be reductive in my typical Justin, explain away, you've got literally two versions of reality being presented, and therefore you've got two. I don't like the language sides or parties or teams or because again, the very language I use is therefore divisive. But what's literally slap you around the face with a wet fish clear, it's patently clear, is there you could speak to people in the same household, you could speak to people sat in the same damn office, and one person could hold one opinion and the other person have a diametrically opposed opinion that's radically different. And of course, they fight like dogs, and this happens in families, it happens in friendships, amongst peers, work colleagues, husbands and wives. And you've only got to go on the internet and have a look at the palpable hate from person to person, because one person's watched this news network and this person's watched that news, and it's literally my entire theme. And here I am on my 450th episode, and at the risk of being just in broken record house, rinse and repeat, I'm compelled to talk about this. I can't leave it alone like a dog with a bone. I won't leave it alone because I'm drawing on my lived experience of telling the truth. And this was ingrained into my psyche as a little boy. That's my point. That's the overarching point. And I find it impossibly hard to get my noggin around the idea, the notion that there are people alive, my age and older, who are actually buying this. when Boris Johnson got asked the other day, was there a Christmas party? Which party? It's like a spitting image sketch. The original good spitting image, not the new woke one. Goodness me. I'll leave that rant for another day. But the point I'm making is satire and comedy is apparently dead. When John Cleese recently had to, well, he felt compelled to cancel because he knew, people are going to have a go at him. It's very sad that there seems to be a growing, a burgeoning movement towards the literals, where people take, I call them the literati. You've only got to go onto Twitter or any social media to see, again, a very vocal minority, like a cult. Really, it is actually, frankly, it's a cult of people. I call them LARPing, live action role players. The LARPing left-earlogs, because they are, possessed of a radical idea, and they just happen to be on the left. You can lay equal blame at the right for the same extent that you've got lunatics on the left, you've got lunatics on the right too. It just seems to be the tech community, the technocracy, the Silicon Valley, the Jeff Bezoses and everything else, and the sort of Facebook Zuckerbergs and all this sort of stuff. I know Jack Dorsey stepped down at Twitter, but the point being, it just seems to be the political alignment from the technocrats, that Susan Wojcicki at YouTube, etc., happen to be politically aligned with the left, and it's a left that's dictating what It, what's the word I could use? Better than puppet. Marionette. There you go. Real puppeteering marionette that Joe Biden is. I mean, I think for health reasons, he literally won't see the next 6 months, because he's clearly, it's actual, what we're witnessing as the public is far more than Reagan ever was, is true senility, really cognitively impaired. The guy's gone. The guy's absolutely gone. Again, I don't want to be overtly political, but the point is that when I speak to my American friends, they are in trouble because, well, they won't be if the likes of Ron DeSantis come through. Again, we're witnessing two films. We're witnessing film A and film B, and this is true of our BBC. I mean, most people don't know that Bill Gates has contributed over $400 million to journalists, and a massive Bill and Melinda Gates. I know they've split, but the point being, Bill Gates has directly, this is nothing that I'm saying is completely, it's not controversial, it's not conspiratorial. I'm just spewing out facts. This is a very easy find in 30 seconds on Google. Please fact check me. That Bill Gates has contributed, some say $500 million. I'm going to go low and say 400 mil, epoxy 400 mil, to news organisations, specifically the BBC. And the BBC have popped up time and time, as well as CNN and MSNBC. Interestingly, not channels like Fox News, of course. So you don't need to delve too deep to see that a journalist, perhaps working for CNN, MSNBC, BBC, etc., are going to be politically aligned with the person that's put the coffers, the money in the coffers, and been the greatest donor, the greatest contributor, to the tune of, again, some people say 400 million, some people say $500 million. I'm going to go low because I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but suffice to say, Bill Gates, I know it's easy to hate on Bill Gates, but there's one common denominator. If you look at these three names, let me just say, Bill Gates, Mark of the Beast, Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos. I know I'm no oil painting, I'm no Brad Pitt, not by a long shot, but these people are not very genetically blessed, right? Let's be quite honest. You look at the faces of a Bezos, a Zuckerberg, a Gates, they're not high cheekboned, chiseled jawline, proportionate nose, sexy, good looking, smouldering eyes. They're hardly good looking fellas, right, with great physiques. The point being, they've accepted that they're ugly buggers. They're not genetically that fortunate in the way they look, but what they have done is to amass colossal wealth, and their way of punching back, if you will, because again, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to imagine. It's not a stretch of anyone's imagination to see how the likes of the Zuckerberg at Facebook, a Bill Gates at Micro Dot Penis, and Jeff Bezos, these people, they've probably had not the best of luck with women, if they're into women, or again, allegedly, you've only got to look at, speaking of allegedly, you've only got to look at the ledger of the Lolita Express, the plane, the jet of the late great Jeffrey Epstein. When you look at the sheer, the flight manifesto, you look at the number of times that Bill Gates, the two Bills, Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, flew on that aeroplane to Epstein Island. Again, this is not a conspiracy. This is just factually true. I am way past trying to, on a live stream, go, listen to me, this is my theory. It's really, come on, put your tinfoil hat on. No, I'm simply stating things that can be proven. Nothing I'm saying is on the scale of, oh, that's a bit out there, just, who shot JFK? Well, we know the CIA shot JFK. Oh, it was the lone gunman, Lee Harvey. Stop it now. So the thing is, it is, thank God for the internet, actually. Thank God for the internet, because it is all coming out. With each day now, you've only got to look at just a few, half dozen live streams online. I know Tim Pool is not everyone's cup of tea, but yes, I do watch Timcast IRL in real life. And you look at Tim Pool having live discussions. They had Steve Bannon on the other day, and people think Steve Bannon's far right, but he's saying tax the rich, tax the rich. I know I'm getting off track, but the point being, it's all in plain sight, and there's nothing anyone can do to defend these. Do you know what? I don't use the word lightly. I'm going to say evil people. It's not a word. I know people chuck around the word, oh, so and so's evil, or that's evil. I mean, personally, I reserve the word evil for those among us that do true evil, taking lives, hurting little children, paedophiles, etc. To my mind, these people are true, the manifestation. They're so malevolent, they're so Machiavellian, as to warrant the term evil. So again, it's only my opinion, but I look at the Clintons, I look at Bill and Hillary Clinton and go, yeah, you are. You're evil. You actually are evil. Epstein, evil. It's my personal belief that Biden and the people in his organization pulling his strings in this marionette fashion, again, evil. Nancy Pelosi, evil. Ralph Nadler, what's the other one? Shifty, Adam Schiff. You've only got to watch these people being interviewed, and the sense of wrong, again, taking myself back to 5-year-old Justin, where, getting a slap, getting spanked for being naughty, telling lies. That's what happens when you tell lies. Going back to that, it's like infantilizing it, isn't it? But it's the problem is we're facing now, I think, a true house of cards. I think it's a real unraveling, and I'm personally all in. I'm personally like, yeah. I mean, look, I make no qualms about my fanboy sort of fondness for someone like Russell Brand. If you watch Russell Brand's channel, and I watch his podcast on Luminary, and I like Russ because, goodness me, I spent 7 years of my life living Chadwell, Grays, Chadwell St Mary, Grays in Essex, and I know exactly where Russell lived. And I lived there myself for 6.5 years, if I'm honest. But the point being, it's a shithole part of Essex. Coalhouse Fort, that way to Canvey Island is Southend and Basildon, and Billericay is the nicer part, and Chelmsford, but that's the nicer bit. The shit bit, Tilbury, Grays, Chadwell St Mary. Trust me, if you know Essex and you've lived or visited those areas I've just mentioned, you'll know that they're shit. And that's where Russell Brand lives. So that's given Russell Brand that life perspective where he has known a level of darkness in his life where, trust me, it's truly not nice. And then I've come back to my hometown Dorset and it's like, yeah, it's lovely. So hang on. The reason I mention all these things is because it just gives you a life perspective. I think if you've been relatively sheltered by living a very easy look. No one put a gun to my head. I was the one that chose to put myself amongst it. I lived in some very bad areas in Los Angeles and London as well. I don't know what point I'm trying to prove. I'm just saying whether it's good or bad, I don't know. But at least I've come back to the UK and specifically my hometown here. I've been back here for 4 years now, and it's just bliss. It's safe, it's clean, it's bliss. It's, again, comparatively speaking to other parts of the world, and it's just whatever. It gives you, it enriches your life with a bit of like, oh, I can see how bad things can be. And the reason I mention this is because what you've got is the elite class, the ruling class, the what's the word? The Russians, oh God, I've lost the word. I've lost the word. The bourgeoisie, the proletariat. I've lost the word. Anyway, it'll come back. But again, you've got very much a two-tier system, and we're seeing it. This is why I cringed when Boris Johnson was getting asked about, did you have a party last year? And then you see, I feel childish discussing this. I feel a bit daft saying it. The the oligarch. Yeah, thank you, my friend. Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. Exactly, the oligarchs. It's they're. Oh God, they used to throw babies from trains, didn't they? In Russia, it was terrible what Joseph Stalin was doing. I'm going back to between the First and Second World War, so 14 to 18 for the First World and 39 to 45, so it was 1920s. So the American was going through, 29 was it, going through the Wall Street crash, recession. Oh God. But anyway, there's some. Jordan Peterson speaks about some true. The Gulag. I can never say it. Archipelago. I can never say it. Oh God. Written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I still can't say it. I've got the book on Audible. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Gulag Archipelago. I struggle saying it. I'm thick. The point being that there was a terrible time with the Russian higher ups and the villagers, if you like, and the problem is history is cyclical. The greater problem is, and I'm not qualified, not even remotely qualified. I am at best an observer. I am at best a bloke who likes a podcast or two. But if you listen to Dan Carlin, Hardcore Histories, great podcasts, massively fantastic narration. And I learnt more there than I did ever at school, ever. And it's evident that we're doing it again. It's evident that it's happening again. Now, look, it might not be popular to say now, buyer's remorse, Trump, to flip this to modernity, to now. While it might not be wise of me to say, well, guys, Trump wasn't all bad. I know Trump was and is a loudmouth, brash, New York, speak before you think, tweet before you think, douche, such douchery that again, you look at Trump's behavior at 70 and you think, wow, I kind of curbed that shit when I was 25. But the upside, the flip side is that's all he is. And Trump is so obvious. Trump is so not deep. Trump is so, frankly, superficial. It doesn't bother me. Douchery, such a great word. It's douchery. Thank you, mate. No, it is. It's one of my favourites. You're a complete douchery. And again, do you know what I mean? It's like I'm very aware that as a Brit, whether I'm talking to fellow Brits or Americans, if I go, hey guys, now you're what 11 months into the Biden administration or the Biden bad administration, surely to Democratic / Labour friends, and again, this is not me punching down. I don't believe in punching down. You're supposed to punch up or punch sideways. You're never supposed to punch down. We know the rules. However, I hasten to add that the Democrats and our Labour have no hesitancy in punching down because they are snobs. They're terrible snobs, terrible snobs. And of course, you can call it buyer's remorse, but all the talking points, all the Biden campaign of this is what Joe's going to do, I knew it was bullshit. Any Republican in America, any so-called red wave redneck, Dukes of Hazzard and all that, it is synonymous with that sort of America, Americana, if you will. And it's the sort of America that a fanboy like me likes and makes no bones about it. But I saw it and I was hearing from my American friends, this is, and, I don't want, we can talk to, all night long about election skullduggery. What's apparent now is that in an attempt to almost demonstrably say to the world, look at how bad Trump was, look at how bad Trump was, because we all have heard about Trump derangement syndrome and how the mainstream legacy smear of CNN and MSNBC had just viciously, whether it's Russian collusion or whatever, they attacked, talk about attack vector, they attacked Trump for 4 years relentlessly. Excuse me. Now you could say a lot of that was well deserved because, again, douchery, because Trump, you'd like to grab, if you were Trump's, personally, I think someone like Mike Pence, if he had any balls, or even any of his closest advisors, should have said, Don, just what are you on? You on iPhone or Android? Give me that. Literally, whatever bloody phone he was using, if it was, at the risk of being conspiratorial, if it was Donald Trump at all, because I'm of the firm opinion that presidents don't really sit there on their phones doing tweets. I don't think they do. I mean, Joe Biden certainly doesn't. Don't tell me that Joe Biden even knows how to gesture switch up and just scroll. He doesn't even. Come on now. Let's not be foolish. Don't tell me that Joe Biden, even if you gave him the cleanest Android or the cleanest iOS, with like literally 6 apps on it, nothing, and said, Joe, can you just swipe up and pause? Can you just at least, he couldn't, he wouldn't, you can tell that, you can see that. Point I'm making is that Trump was a douche. Biden is frightening, and there is a difference. There is a huge gaping chasm, abyss of a difference, because you've only got to look at this presidency now to see it's beyond disastrous. And I'm not one just to go off US, UK headlines written by journalists with a heavy political bent, a heavy political leaning. And we all know which way they lean. I will speak to at least half a dozen American friends, whether it's doing FaceTime or email or WhatsApp or Insta. I will communicate 2, 4, 6 times a week with American friends, and they tell me what's happening in their, do you know what I mean? That kind of what's really happening in your neighborhood, so like the two lovely couples that I know that I've known for over 20 years apiece that live in Florida. I'm very keen to hear again from actual Americans living in Florida, what's your Governor Ron DeSantis really like? Because we see it on our screens here. So I'm very keen to listen and to look and then to hear from Americans versus the news. And I've got to say that. And of course, this is why I know I'm going to just take a little Justin tangent, but it's relevant. This week, when Joe Rogan had Dr. Peter McCullough on, now Dr. Peter McCullough is the world's. Let's be very clear. Dr. Peter McCullough is MCULLOUGH. So it's McCullough, isn't it? He's the world's authority in COVID and has published, do fact check me, 51 papers on COVID. So compared to non-practicing, let's be fair, non-practicing, non-patient seeing, non-hands-on Dr. Fauci, evil, okay, that bureaucratic stooge shill, Dr. Fauci. By the way, again, fact check it. Dr. Fauci in '85 was telling people that people would catch human immunodeficiency virus or full-blown acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, better known as HIV and AIDS, from just being in the same room as a gay. Dr. Fauci, the reason why Dr. Fauci is so widely hated and has been for the last 3 decades, let's have it right, is because from San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, when AIDS kicked off in '84, '82 actually, but '84 at its peak, and '85, that man was saying that people, by being in the same room and just sneezing or coughing, would catch AIDS. Okay, so don't tell me that Fauci's a nice man. Anyway, I just get a bit funny because I've had probably 14 clients with AIDS. I shit you not. Actually, most of them did live, but the point I'm making is I think Dr. Fauci is completely evil, and the agenda that he's pushing is not a healthy one. So when Dr. Peter McCullough was on Joe Rogan's podcast a couple of days ago, I immediately downloaded it to my to that iPhone, to that Pixel 6 Pro, because I'm expecting it to get pulled. Fortunately, being on Spotify, it won't get pulled because it's not owned and run by Susan Wojcicki at YouTube. Any shadowing channels clipping Joe Rogan will, of course, now get pulled, because when he had Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's propagandistic shill. Let's not forget, I don't care how nice Dr. Sanjay Gupta came across on Rogan's podcast a month or so ago. He then promptly went on an apology tour, trust me, for CNN, and got himself embarrassed and publicly spanked by Don Lemon, and then went on Sesame Street to frankly peddle, there's another word for it, to peddle the vaccine for kids. And if we're going to speak about vaccines and the latest lie, Omicron, not Omicron, Omicron, the latest variant, is far, far less, be clear, far less virulent than Delta, but far more transmissible. In other words, it's got a greater efficiency as a virus. A virus doesn't want to kill its host, does it? A virus wants to be very transmissible. A virus wants to live, it wants its host to live, it wants to go from person to person, infecting more. That's transmissibility. It wants to be low in its potency. How virulent is it? Because if it slays its host, it dies. Omicron, the South African doctors have been screaming about this, and this is where it starts to become sick. The American government and our government are saying, "Oh, Omicron, Omicron, there'll be deaths soon, and lockdown, and do an Austria, Germany job." This is another bit of propaganda. And when the greatest peer-reviewed, most published doctor in the world is on Joe Rogan saying what I've just said, you've got to listen. It's not some YouTube doctor, it's not some YouTube conspiracy theorist. It is the world's authority in COVID coming out on Rogan's podcast. Arguably, whether you love or loathe divisive Joe Rogan, personally, I've been watching Joe Rogan since 2011, and I watched him before then in UFC. I'm a fan. He's been telling the truth all along, and this is what's upsetting these, frankly, religious zealots. Again, it's for what it's worth, guys. I think the radical ideology we're seeing in media and amongst these, I can't. I got to watch what I say, but it sounds like I'm self-censoring. I'm just trying to not get too wound up because I think it is perpetrating evil. I think if any of this was about health, because the entire premise should be, what do we do to protect human life? What do we do for the greater good, for health? If there was a modicum of sincerity behind that sentiment, surely all government health officials, any grey in a suit, would stand literally on ceremony and say, get exercise, get outdoors, walk outside every day, take in deep fresh air, lots of vitamin D, please, lots of vitamin C, lots of zinc, even the bare minimum, daylight, exercise, just look after yourself, boost your own immunity, fortify your own constitution, mate, by being hydrated, taking exercise, going outdoors. If you And again, we know now, 2 years in, guys, we know the efficacy, whether you're Moderna or Pfizer or Astra or J&J or pick your poison. Obviously, I've not been allowed to have any shot, and I've gone into great depths as to explain why. Because I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm anti-mandates. I'm anti-forcing people to do this. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm just anti forcing people to do shit. Okay. Um, and yeah, it's a level of obedience, and this is where I think the Biden administration and any organization here forcing this will come undone, and they should do. Um, you know, it's not. I said probably, oh gosh, I'll tell you when it was. It was September last year. I've actually got a cork board here in my flat. The first time I personally saw Pierre Corrie and Dr. Paul Marik, I'll say it again, Dr. Paul Marik, Marik, and Pierre Corrie. He's a physician, so I'm not using the word doctor, but it's Pierre Kory, Dr. Paul Marik and Pierre Corrie. They led, and this was last September, and I saw it on YouTube. And I remember calling my friend Steve in Essex, and I said, this will get pulled. And it took a couple of weeks, but it did. And it was very tearful. That's not fair. A quite tearful, but very emotional Pierre Corrie testifying to US Senate, to Congress, in his white physician's uniform. This is the frontline COVID, I've forgotten the acronym now. Anyway, this was a collection of doctors who were working with ivermectin. They were working with Z-Pak. They were working with Vit-D. They were working with Vit-C IV. They were working with hydroxychloroquine. They were working with monoclonal antibodies. They were working with prednisolone, dexamethasone. The list goes on of corticosteroids. Really portmanteauing corticosteroids with monoclonal antibodies, hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin, because of course ivermectin has only been used over 4 billion for, please fact check it, ivermectin, human ivermectin, not horse dewormer, goodness sake, again, it's CNN and the evils of mainstream smear that attacked Rogan for doing the Rogan kitchen sink. But when you look at what was actually being used, either prophylactically as a preemptive strike, if you suspect you've got COVID in the post, if you suspect it's, you're feeling a little bit dodgy, in my kitchen cupboard, because I'm clinically extremely vulnerable and I've got 5 of the 6 nasties in terms of comorbidities, in terms of my 16 NHS letters I've got on my pinned to my kitchen wall, and I'm 650 days in now of me personally swerving it. I think I've got about 6 or 7 left. The RAT kits, the rapid antigen test kits from my local Boots pharmacy, which are government provided free, which sadly my American friends can't get. But at the very least, I do the swabs down, up my nose and down the throat every second day. Yeah, every second day. I was going to say it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and so on. So it's like, oh, my old dialysis days, really. But I test myself at home. And if I feel that I'm going a bit, I've had probably 4 or 5 occasions in the last year where I've thought, oh yeah, temperature's gone up, I've been sweaty, I've been clammy, lost my sense of smell, and got a bit of a stream on. I immediately use my personal triple P approach, and that's my protocol, if you like, and I use prednisolone, penicillin, and paracetamol. Paracetamol controls my temperature. Penicillin, obviously, penicillin is an antibiotic, and prednisolone is a corticosteroid. So the only drug there that I'm not prescribed is penicillin, so I go and ask for it, and I come down with nasty, very vicious, very painful bouts of gout. I'm type 2 diabetic, of course, but a lot of kidney transplant patients are. So yeah, I when I start to feel, he said with a great nose, when I start to feel rough, I use again a preemptive prophylactic strike. Look, if I've had it, great. On paper, a guy like me getting COVID is very serious because, again, immunosuppression. Obviously, I'm on immunosuppressants every 12 hours. I have to take anti-rejection immunosuppressant drugs and corticosteroids, as well as hypertensives and beta blockers. What else am I on? Corticosteroids and a statin as well. So I've got 2 stents in me from the couple of heart attacks I had, etc., etc. So that's how I personally handle it. But the point I'm making is just being self-aware and policing enough stuff around you, called sort of plate spinning, if you will. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit. I'm not suggesting you get and become what's the word, when you're a hypochondriac. I'm not suggesting you become a hypochondriac. I'm just saying be vigilant. And look, again, caveat. This is not just in giving medical advice. I'm just telling you what I do. Speaking as a person that's had spine cancer, 2 heart attacks, kidney transplant, etc., the 3 hernias, collapsed lungs, anyway, a smorgasbord of shit, a litany of bad luck. So it's pretty disgusting and disturbing when there seems to be a targeted movement by our government and the US government to give as little advice to its Gen Pop as possible, because at the bare minimum, in terms of messaging, and I am being political now, you would say, look, nation, try and physically get lighter, try and lose body fat, try and increase your immunity with these good foods. You don't need to get specialist, but just more than saying to your population, to the populace, oh, you can just take one vaccine and that's the only remedy, whatever. And I don't mean brands, I mean course of action, I mean an effective way to either bat away, swerve, or overcome COVID. And we all know that if you do acquire COVID, again, this is not controversial, this is fucking obvious, excuse my French. The natural acquisition of COVID, if you're unlucky enough to cop it, and your constitution becomes fortified with a stronger natural, greater resilience, a greater resolve, you become more robust, because whether you're 13 or 30 or 50, whatever, you've caught the damn thing and you've had 3, 4, 7 days of feeling awful, and you get through it, you power through it. These antibodies, as spoken about by Dr. Peter McCullough, stay. They stay. And he said verbatim, indefinitely. And that's not what the efficacy of any vaccine is offering. I'm sorry. Even the new molnupiravir has been offered to me. I mean, it's just not. It's just not. And, careful how I say it, but my own, let's just say my one family member had his 4th shot the other day. And I'm like, well, fine, I get it, I respect that, good-o. But the premise that we were all sold on, and notice the train, again, I'm not being conspiratorial, calling out facts. Please, if anyone watches this, I don't want people to go, oh, Justin's a bloody conspiracy theorist. No, I'm simply uttering facts. When you look at RNHS and the National Institute of Health and the Centre for Disease Control and the World Health Organization, so the WHO, the CDC, the NIH, the NHS, the list goes on, Eco Health Alliance, they all changed the word vaccine from using immunization, inoculation, to therapeutics. I rest my case. I literally rest my case, Your Honour, because there's nothing, and most people don't even know that, messenger RNA, they don't even say what it is. Ribonucleic acid. Look it up. And it's, a vaccine used to be, when we were kids, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, whatever, you were immunized against, weren't you? It was immunization, inoculation. This is the language used to describe an actual vaccine. You take the shot, your body is then protected, you are effectively inoculated, immunized against said virus doing you in. Yes? That's now changed. The language, word salad semantics, it's been changed by all those organizations I've just mentioned to therapy, therapeutics. This is a novel drug trial. Let's just call it what it is. It's a bloody drug trial. Again, I'm not anti-vax, I'm just pro-truth. I'm pro-truth. I'm anti-mandates and I'm pro-truth. There you go. And I realise that, Do you know, everything I've just said, the last sort of 10 minutes, if I had a big audience, I'd be in real trouble. But fortunately, I have a little audience and I won't be in trouble. On that note, that'll do. That's 70 minutes. I'm going to shut up and go. But thank you for listening. I do appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place, same face. Cheers. Good night.